Ladies and gentlemen, the wide receiver position is changing here. I mean, you have Jamar Chase getting put on the IR. We have Kadarius Toney getting sent over to Kansas City. But despite the wide receiver landscape changing, I'll still go through and give you some sell-high wide receivers. I know if you had Jamar Chase on your team, obviously, you're looking to hold every wide receiver you have. But regardless, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. If you have any questions, if you want to tell me I'm an idiot, if you want to tell me I'm ugly, you can do so down there in that comment section. I'll try to respond to as many of those comments as I possibly can. And of course, if you want to check out any of these awesome player props, maybe you want to look at a college football line for Saturday, maybe you want to look at an NFL line for Sunday, you can find those down there in the comment section in the description of the video on Underdog Fantasy. On Underdog, when you sign up with the link in the comment section, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100 with promo code FLOCK. So it's essentially free to check out. You can get access to those awesome player props as well as get into a draft with us on the stream. Pretty much available in every single state. But that should be it. Let's go through. Let's dive into our first wide receiver here, Terry McLaurin. Okay, so if you did not listen to us week 1, if you did not listen to us week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, week 7, maybe you'll listen to us in week 8 to sell Terry McLaurin. I don't know who in the vlog still has Terry McLaurin on their roster. If you are looking at him, yes, this past week against the Packers, he was fine. The man had 5 receptions, 73 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown in a pretty tough matchup as well. So, yeah, I mean, you can sit here, you can say, oh, well, that's great with McLaurin. But if we look at the context of this situation, what has happened with Terry McLaurin over the past few weeks? Terry McLaurin has been in a pretty good spot. You've had John Dotson out with the hamstring. Looks like he's going to miss week 8 as well. But you've had Diami Brown out as well. And to go along with this, hell, you had no Logan Thomas. So Terry McLaurin went right back to his old ways, right back to a wide receiver that had nobody to compete with outside of Curtis Samuel. He was able to get 8 targets. It's still a horrendous offense. And the long term when these other pass catchers come back, I think it will hurt McLaurin. But moving over to our next guy, let's go over to Denver, someone else that I bored you over with over and over and over again. Courtland Sutton. If you didn't listen to us week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, maybe you'll listen to us now with Sutton. I know everybody wants to say, Mason, you got Courtland Sutton wrong. You're an idiot. How dare you have told us not to draft Courtland Sutton as a top 12 wide receiver, not to draft him in round 3. How dare you say that Jerry Jeudy was going to be a better value 2 rounds later? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. If you look at the final season numbers, yes, Sutton has been better than Jerry Jeudy so far this season. However, you need to look at the context here. Sutton, by no means close to being a top 12 wide receiver. I don't know why everybody hypes him up as if he is a great player. No, he's been great in games where Jerry Jeudy has missed. Look at weeks 2 and 3, Courtland Sutton, where Jerry Jeudy goes down at the beginning of the game against Houston, where Jerry Jeudy in week 3 shouldn't have even played. He was a game time decision, ended up playing through the shoulder and the rib injury because they had both KJ Hamler as well as Tim Patrick out. He had no other options. He had to. If we look at those 2 weeks where Jerry Jeudy was injured, yes, Sutton was phenomenal. Sutton over 100 total yards a game. Sutton averaging 10 targets a game. Bravo. Just like Sutton was phenomenal last year with no Jerry Jeudy. Last year when Jerry Jeudy was hurt with the ankle, Courtland Sutton stepped in. He was an alpha wide receiver 1, and he fooled everybody to think that's who he is with Jerry Jeudy in the offense as well. Because if we go back and look at last season and 2020, every game that Jerry Jeudy and Sutton had played together before this season, how Courtland Sutton in those contests had averaged 2 receptions a game and 23 receiving yards a game. And 11 games played with Jeudy, 23 receiving yards a game and 2 receptions. And this season, if we remove weeks 2 and 3, where Jerry Jeudy was clearly hurt, there's not a single Courtland Sutton truther that's going to be arguing against that. Courtland Sutton's averaged 3.8 receptions a game and 47 receiving yards a game. Is that a startable player? No, it's not. It's a horrendous offense. Jerry Jeudy, if we remove weeks 2 and 3 when he was hurt, has averaged 4.2 receptions per game, has averaged 71 receiving yards per game. Now, I'm not going through and throwing salt into the wound of Courtland Sutton drafters, of Courtland Sutton fanboys. I still am ranking Sutton 1 spot above Jerry Jeudy just for y'all. But I don't know. I don't want to. I'm looking at this situation and saying, I think Courtland Sutton's the wide receiver 2 in a horrendous offense. I'm selling when people still think that he is some top end guy. Now going over to our next wide receiver, Mike Williams. Obviously with Williams, another player that's been on a sell-high video for us for about a month now. I mean, you are going to be selling at a discount now that you have the high ankle sprain, but I think honestly, you may be able to get away with this because I think that if you are looking at the discount that he's going to come with, it is going to be less of a discount than if you were to play this week, where a lot of people are looking at him, and since he's on bye, you aren't getting the practice reports saying, oh, Mike Williams not in practice. Oh, Mike Williams not going to play this week. You aren't getting those reports because he's on bye. Not too many people are talking about this situation. If you're looking at the raw points per game for Mike Williams so far this season, he's been great. He's been better than I thought he was going to be, but also that's lacking context if we don't dive into the fact that you've had Keenan Allen out this entire time. You had Joshua Palmer missing time. You had Donald Parham missing time. You had so many players getting injured, most importantly, Keenan Allen, that now after the bye week, I think that you will have most likely Mike Williams still missing some time. I think hopefully, fingers crossed, we have Keenan Allen fully healthy. So even when Mike Williams is fully healthy, even when Mike Williams does come back, he's still going to be in a situation where he has a worse spot than he did before. He's having to go up against Keenan Allen for targets. I think Keenan Allen's probably going to be the number one wide receiver in this offense if we're looking at the raw target share he has. So I don't know. I'd still like to sell Mike Williams even if you're selling at a discount. Now going over to our next guy, Deebo Samuel, someone else that you're going to be selling at a discount here. I just think that Christian McCaffrey negatively impacts him. Now, of course, CMC impacts everybody in San Francisco. But if we look at how Brandon Ayuk, how George Kittle, how Deebo Samuel are all used in this offense, I would make the argument that nobody is hurt more than Deebo Samuel. If you look at Deebo Samuel throughout his entire NFL career in San Francisco, he has had by far and away the lowest average depth of target of any wide receiver in the NFL. Deebo Samuel's essentially been used as a running back, even when he's not rushing the ball out of the backfield himself. And if we look at Christian McCaffrey, a running back that's been able to historically get to 24% of his team's targets on a per game basis, not expecting him to have a 24% team target share. Of course, you cannot say that that's going to be the case in San Francisco all of a sudden when there's significantly more talent around him. I do still think, however, that Christian McCaffrey will have heavy involvement in this offense as that pass catcher, particularly around the line of scrimmage as well. So I think it negatively impacts Deebo. Deebo's had 24 rushing attempts this season, 1 rushing touchdown. He's already seen it hit in that area. He hasn't been hyper efficient either. The man has 54 targets and only 387 receiving yards this season. I am worried about Deebo Samuel. But now let's go over to a couple of rookie players. And our first guy has been one of the best rookie wide receivers this season. He has overcome a horrendous situation, made highlight grabs. Maybe some of the catches of the year have been made by George Pickens. Pickens looks phenomenal. If you're in a dynasty fantasy football context, you should be very excited about Pickens. If you're looking at George Pickens, the man legitimately is leading, and I repeat, leading the Pittsburgh Steelers offense despite having no volume. George Pickens, the 4th receiver in Pittsburgh right now in targets. Despite being the 4th receiver right now in targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he is the number 1 pass catcher in receiving yards. That is how good George Pickens has been about as efficient as you could ever ask. And for this reason, a lot of people are viewing him as a top 24 guy. People are getting mad at me for not ranking him on a week-to-week standpoint. And I completely understand it. I think if he was in a different situation, if he just got traded to the Chiefs instead of Kadarius Toney, we'd be looking at George Pickens as probably a high-end wide receiver 2 in fantasy. However, when Deontay Johnson has had 67 targets this year, when Claypool has had 44 targets this season, when Freiermuth has had 41 targets to only 6 weeks, we can safely say that there is a lot of target competition for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is one of the worst offenses in the NFL. If we're looking at points scored by Pittsburgh by week, 23 week 1. Keep in mind, that was in overtime. 14 the following week, 17 the week after, 20, 3, 18, and 10. They have scored more than 20 points one time this season. And that one time was week 1 when the game went to overtime. This is a horrendous Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Despite George Pickens looking like a phenomenal player, despite him having all the talent in the world, I don't know if he's going to be able to overcome this situation. I think that we would look to package him and a running back too and go get an upgrade somewhere else. Now, our next player, I don't want to sell him right now. I'm hesitant to even put him on this video because I know there are some people that think that they'll somehow learn something if they pull up our videos and then just skim through it and look at pictures of players. I don't know how you learn anything from that. I mean, 99% of the time, I'm going to be wrong. You need to listen to me talk and go, okay, well, Mason's wrong here because he said X, Y, and Z, and this is how I know he's an idiot and we shouldn't listen to him with this player. So make sure you're watching the videos. But Tyler Lockett, now red alarms. Do not trade Tyler Lockett right now, okay? I think Tyler Lockett with a DK Metcalf injury is going to be a player that comes out this week, comes out the week following, and continues to be very good. You've had multiple games with 100 receiving yards from Tyler Lockett so far. You've had Geno Smith being the exact opposite of Kenny Pickett. Geno Smith is leading this team to points. I mean, at the beginning of the season, 17-7, not great. But after that, 23 points, 45 points, 32 points, 19 points, 37 points. This Seattle Seahawks offense is putting points up on the board. Geno Smith has been great, but still, this is a team that wants to run the ball first. On top of this, I don't know if they can keep it up. I don't know if they can keep up scoring 30 points a game over the past month and a half. I think that is going to come down. I think they're going to revert to being a team that continues to try to run the ball more and more, especially with the Kenneth Walker breakout. I think Lockett has a phenomenal few-week stretch here with a hindered DK Metcalf. But then once we get Lockett with a few great weeks, and then Metcalf coming back maybe a month from now, or 2 weeks from now, or 3 weeks, whenever Metcalf comes back, maybe he's back this week. Maybe we look to go ahead and sell Tyler Lockett, just not right now. Please don't do it right now. And now our next guy, our last guy on this list, Wandale Robinson, a player that we have on so many dynasty teams, a player that I love the prospect profile coming out of Kentucky/Nebraska, a dynamic athlete, a player that's essentially a poor man's Deebo Samuel, just at a much cheaper cost. Now getting Kadarius Toney off of the New York Giants. I've seen a lot of people hyping up Wandale Robinson. We've had him on every waiver wire video for God knows how long now. I like Wandale Robinson, but we have to be realistic. This is still a team where the majority of the target volume is going to be funneled to the running back out of the backfield with Saquon Barkley. This is still a team that doesn't have a lot of passing volume to go around. And most importantly, in my opinion, this is a New York Giants offense that was never going to use Kadarius Toney in the first place. We have been talking about this, whether that was on our buy low wide receiver video 2 weeks ago on our Dynasty channel where we were saying to go trade for Kadarius Toney, or in the waiver wire videos that we've had with Wandale Robinson lately, that Kadarius Toney didn't have a hamstring injury. Kadarius Toney had a my coaches hate me injury. That's the injury that Kadarius Toney had. He was in the doghouse. He was never going to get involved anyway, so I don't necessarily think that the Toney injury affects Wandale Robinson at all. I think Wandale is a wide receiver that is exciting, but if people are viewing him as a top 24 locked-in guy, and we can trade like Wandale Robinson and a running back like, say, Gus Edwards and go get Tyler Boyd, I kind of would like that. But I think that's all I got for you. Of course, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. Go down to the comment section. Let me know why I'm wrong here. And if you want to check out any of these player props, maybe it's a college game on Saturday you want to look at, an NFL game on Sunday, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy down there in the comment section. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. So it's free to check out. You can get into drafts with us in the live stream. And also, I may or may not have another free bet coming for everybody who used promo code FLOCK on Underdog. But thank you again. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day and hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight.